Let me tell you what happened over the last few weeks with Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys and their progress for a new deal. Nothing. Let me tell you what happened over the last few months here in terms of progress for a new deal. Nothing. There is zero sense of urgency from either side, and this now is careening down a path that tells you that this deal is not going to get done by the 4 o'clock deadline, and we are going to have Dak Prescott's contract be a discussion next offseason, maybe the offseason after, and the topic that has not gone away for at least the last year will continue to be there going forward into the future because these two sides are dug into their positions. Basically, Dak Prescott last year was willing to play on a $2 million deal and pass up all the money he did, and he's going to be doing the same thing here on a $31.4 million franchise tag. But hard to imagine, again, we have a situation where the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, is now headed into the last year of his contract, and the Dallas Cowboys have come out and said they have to have him on a 5-year deal. There have been other exceptions that they've made. We've seen Blake Jarwin sign a 4-year deal. We've seen other players sign 1-year deals, and they have stuck fast to their deal that Dak Prescott has to be on a 4-year deal. He's a 5-year deal. He's not going to budge there. And so, again, there has been zero progress. There have been zero talks. There are zero scheduled talks. And right now it is expected that 4 o'clock Eastern today will come and go without Dak Prescott landing the long-term contract that many thought he would get on this day.
All right. And so I'm going to ask you a question that I know is kind of a complicated one, but you've covered a million of these things. What should we read? What reasonably should we read into the fact that they have basically both sides have just allowed this to come and go with no sense of urgency, as you said?
Listen, I think Dak Prescott understands and recognizes that he's got unique leverage and power. We don't see very many quarterbacks play on a franchise tag. The only two that have ever done it, Drew Brees in San Diego and Kirk Cousins in Washington, resulted in the departure of both players, different circumstances, of course, but the departure of both players with Kirk Cousins landing an unrivaled contract. Dak Prescott's going to be put into that position. And the Dallas Cowboys feel like they're being fair, but at the same time, you've got a quarterback who's played out his contract onto a franchise tag. And so they've offered somewhere around 60% guaranteed money, mid 60%. And a lot of people think, well, they're offering $105 to $110 million in guaranteed money. And that is a ton of money. Who wouldn't love to make that? But the fact of the matter is you have to take a look at the entire contract, what percent of the contract that would be, the value of it is, the circumstances the quarterback is in. There are a whole lot of factors to consider in any contract, and I think each side is dug into its respective stance and ready to move forward into the future. I think putting Dak's future in Dallas in question.
Oh, no question. Schefter, outstanding way to begin here. And let me illustrate the point that you were just making. Dak is now the 9th instance of a quarterback being franchise tagged in the last 20 seasons, and only 3 times has a quarterback played under that tag, under any version of the tag, and Schefter just ran through them. It was Cousins twice in 16 and 17, and Brees in 05 with the Chargers, and as he said, both players ended up leaving those teams the following off seasons. And so let me bring the crew back in here. And Nick, I have to start with you as the president of Dak's fan club and his biggest supporter. In your mind, assuming that this does come and go at 4 o'clock today, is this a good thing or a bad thing for Dak Prescott?
I mean, I think technically it's probably a good thing for his bank account in the long run. He'll probably make millions more, considering that he'll play on the franchise tag this year and then probably again next year and then hit free agency and get a mega blockbuster deal. However, I think he's had so much success in Dallas up until this point, suggesting that he may not continue there. I think may not be great for him going forward. It might turn out to be great for him, but there's something about the security of getting guaranteed money today and the security of staying in a situation that's worked out well for you that I think it's a bad thing for everybody. While Dak will be a little bit richer, I'm not sure how much it's going to impact his life going forward. And overall, I think this has just been an example of some poor roster management by the Cowboys. I don't understand how you can characterize this as anything else. The one thing that you must have to win a Super Bowl in this league is at least good quarterback play. Like, you can get away with bad play in other positions. You can't get away with bad quarterback play. They don't have to be great, but they have to at least be good. And you have a quarterback who's great, and you're messing around with it, playing with fire while signing long-term deals to all these other players who are important, but not nearly as important as having a good, let alone great, starting quarterback.
Yeah, Lewis, I want to come to you because as a veteran of front offices and you sort of understand this, I want to ask you the same thing I asked Schefter. How should we read the fact that not only doesn't this get done, but that the reporting says that neither side really has shown any urgency to get it done in the last few days or weeks?
Well, I'll just take it from the Dallas Cowboys point of view. Obviously, look, they're privy to the information that we're not. They have intel on Dak Prescott that we don't. They're the ones who interact with him on a daily basis, and we don't. There is something that is willing to allow them to risk losing a quarterback who has played at a very high level for them heading into the 2021 season. There is something that is willing to allow them to risk losing that guy instead of going ahead and acquiescing and say, hey, look, we'll give you the 4-year deal. We'll go ahead and lock in this amount of certainty for us going forward because we don't like what our next best alternative is. We don't like looking for a long-term quarterback here potentially as early as 2021. They're willing to risk that. Dak is willing to risk not having the financial security of a big signing bonus and big guaranteed money right now for just taking $31.4 million this year, maybe playing on another franchise tag next year and pocketing just south of $70 million and then hitting free agency in 2022. Or maybe he hits free agency in 2021 and signs a blockbuster deal there. So look, Dak's going to win regardless. He has to take a short-term risk right now, but he's going to win regardless. The Cowboys right now, though, there's something going on with them where they just are not comfortable, whether it be with their financial planning or what they're seeing as far as what Dak is bringing to them or potentially could bring to them on the football field, that just will not cause them or allow them to move past what that line in the sand that they've drawn. And that's what makes this all the more interesting because, look, we all know, Dominic just said, you need at least good quarterback play to be a contender in the league. At least that. They may not have any clarity as to what their quarterback situation looks like.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.